Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Simon and we are the Whales of Wall Street. Guys, we're doing a quick update video here on Veracity, so one of our favourite projects here at the Whales of Wall Street, as you know. So guys, VRA on the exchange. Before we go into the chart, let's just take a look at a couple of things. So what I found quite amusing was in the last video that we did, when we covered Veracity, we said that the only thing that was missing from their Q4 roadmap that they did not complete was their corporate website revamp. So actually, literally the day after, they clearly must be watching our videos and updated that corporate website. So that was quite entertaining to read that. But in the grand scheme of things, obviously fantastic news to see that that aspect of the roadmap being completed. So pretty much everything that they had last year was indeed ticked off. We did cover most of that last week, so we're not going to do that again today. But we're very much looking forward to what's coming with Veracity. Of course, we haven't had the new roadmap yet, which is something we're eagerly waiting for, of course. But a couple of things here I wanted to pick out. So do keep an eye out on their social media, but for me, I thought this was really interesting. So here we've got Elliot Hill, who's been added for lead communications, PR, and content strategy. So this is really key because a lot of people out there, for some reason, were saying like maybe Veracity isn't doing enough marketing or enough communication. Very much retail investors like you and I were pretty much having to do kind of our own research as much as possible without any kind of like leading aspect from Veracity. The only person I would say that was doing that perhaps was Mark, who's, as you know, very fluent on Twitter and gets quite irate and passionate about his project, especially when people maybe speak badly of it or don't. Maybe he misinterprets people's opinions. But what's really cool is this has happened. Maybe one day we can get Veracity AMA or something. We've got loads of AMAs lined up actually, with loads of projects, really random. I like to think I'm a good communicator, so we're talking to a lot of people through various methods that I know, looking to do that. But Veracity would be a really cool one to do, especially maybe with Elliot as well. But I think this is critical, especially as he mentions he's an avid esports enthusiast. Now we talked about, and I don't want to pigeonhole Veracity as like an esports project. It has definitely got a big element around esports, and we've already spoke about that in the last video about the Vera player, sorry, in the mechanism of earn to watch and play to earn, and all these kind of things, which are really going to take off this year. 100% P2E. For those that are perhaps looking for a short-term wording for that, P2E is a very big market, and certainly something you're going to see more and more of in this year and years to come, of course. So for me, this is a really interesting and really good appointment from their perspective, and clearly maybe mentioning that esports perspective is obviously on purpose, perhaps, to really take on that emphasis of what they're trying to achieve in that area. Now we know Veracity has many patents available for the proof of view, and also the NFT aspect of ownership. So loads of cool stuff going on. We know that's there. We know that's being in the pipeline for many a time now. But I'm really looking forward to seeing, hopefully soon, Veracity's 2022 plan. I'm sure all of you out there are eager to wait. The movements on the price don't necessarily reflect all these things that have been announced recently, but you've got to take yourself out of that equation sometimes. Okay, so a lot of people I see on social media like really bombarding these projects, saying like no, I don't care about the roadmap, I just want to see the price. Like, what are you doing about the price? And it's like, guys, they don't affect the price. Like, they do in terms of their news and things, but they don't sit there every day going, what should we have the price today, let's fix that. So you just got to get your head around that, but understand what Veracity is. If you don't know much about Veracity, go and check our intro video. Should have a thing up there in a second's time, but also at the end of this video. So don't press it just yet, watch this one first and then you can watch that. Unless you're bored, go for it. But hopefully you learn a bit more about the history and and the aspects of Veracity. Of course, maybe we need to do an update video on that, especially when the new roadmap comes, because I think some people watch the old videos and they're like, hang on a minute, that's already happened. But at least gives you like a small idea. And here also in the aspect of VRA views. So what I thought this was really cool. So next week they're going to be exploring the powerful VRA views ad stack. So how that works, certainly, especially at like an enterprise level as well, and especially with Brightcoast. We covered that a couple of videos ago now. So really interesting to see how that development works. But really interested to see this. I'm not sure whether they're doing a video about this or if it's going to be an AMA or an interview with their team internally. They're just going to promote out there. But I'm super excited about this. I think it's, first of all, in this aspect on the 13 powerful modules VRA views, they cover a lot of really cool topics on here that Veracity is all about. I did hear something about the VRA wallet being perhaps improved as well in some aspects. I need to check that out. We'll probably cover that in the next video as well. But loads of really cool stuff coming. But that kind of leads us into the chart in a second, actually. And forgive me for like kind of pushing this. We've got loads of videos to do. It's been a crazy week of work and stuff. So hopefully we can cover loads of things, but I don't want to bog down too much massively into big project elements, because we do that often anyway. So do smash that like button if you like what you hear and see. Let's go into the chart. So this was pretty poor view at the moment. Let's pull it out so you can see where we've gone. So of course, last year, massive year for Veracity, like it was with many projects out there. This July period is very reflective on a lot of assets out there. And we've had this big tail up all the way up here to around that sort of October time. And since then, really, we've been on a downward trend, right? There's no being around the bush. That is what's happening with Veracity. That doesn't mean it's a poor project. You've just got to understand where we've been and where we're going right now. So obviously we've had Veracity at very low prices. I mean, it's absolutely incredible, really, to think that in January last year, you could have been purchasing Veracity. Look at that number. Don't even know how you named that. Or 0.0001. Wow. So even to its current point now, with people complaining, if you're a long-term holder of Veracity, you're probably not complaining because you've got them way down here. But for me, I was buying most of mine around 1.5 cents. Not necessarily recently. It's more back in these areas, especially, and as the tail up occurred last year. Of course, we saw some great moves here. I was doing a lot of selling around this 5 cent mark. I was doing some around slightly higher when we're hitting those near enough 8-9 cent marks. My goal for Veracity personally is just keep accumulating, so I've got enough in there to warrant taking out of the exchange, putting it into the VRA wallet when eventually a win to market comes. And who knows, it might even be one in now, but we'll have to see. I still believe in a potential bull run coming, of course, and I'm sure many of you out there do as well. But where we are right now is really interesting. So I personally have put another buy order in at a lower region around this 2 cent mark. And you're probably thinking, well, why have you done that? Do you think it's going to come down there? Well, there's a possibility, and we'll go into reasons behind that in a second. But let's look at this on a macro level first of all. Okay, so I've set up a couple of fib retracements just overlapping here. I took out the long-term one. I just wanted to focus on the mid-term and the short-term here at the moment. Okay, so we can just really see where we've been and what's going on right now. So we're hitting these lower regions, of course, as you can see on this chart here, hitting around this sort of 2.6 cent mark. So just going to drag up the price here on the right hand side for those that can't see the chart too well. So very much 2.4 is around about where we are, 2.5 respectively. So we're hitting the very low regions of a macro area. And this is, I haven't drawn this in because it's right there right now. I'm basing it on this here, back here in September. Really key, interesting point in a lot of charts out there that I follow. And particularly if you look back here as well on the August, I don't know if we can let's just try and drag that out so you can see what I'm talking about. We did have some dip downs to these areas around 2.5, 2.7. So the lower point regions being around where we are pretty much right now. Okay, so what we're doing right now is we're very much supporting this previous area. Why is that of interest? Well, because as well, back here, 25th, 24th of April, we had a drop down. Okay, so this was resistance at this level. We pulled it back up, not enough momentum, not enough investment coming in. We pulled it back down. And look at this as well. This pull up, look at that critical area here on the 31st of May. It may have only been one day, but it's very, very interesting. And look at that line straight across there. You've got this around the 15th, 16th of March. You've got this point here in April. You've got this one day in 1st of June. And then look at these critical points, August, September, October, and near enough to where we are now. This is why I'm really interested in this particular area, because this is going to justify or stabilize ourselves as to, we've got some good data here over the last year to suggest whether this is going to be a confirmed support area, or are we not ready for that yet? Are we coming to lower regions? And the only other lower regions right now in our vicinity for me personally are these volatile areas, both here in March last year, the up and down movement here, which is indicating pushing through and pulling it back through, and then this market here. So that's why I've drawn this orange line in, just to reflect my thoughts around why I'm putting something just over that 2 cent mark. I'm literally going for like maybe 221, well, I say 21, I mean 0.021, 0.022 ish, and see if that plays out. Why else am I doing that? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Of course, we see the volumes here coming in a negative pattern, but I'm more interested here on the MACDs and everything. So what we got here is the histogram. This is obviously showing the end process really of any small move of influx of purchasing coming in, right? So we've had that nice little wave and it's pulling back down. I was a bit disappointed that we're not reverting into another small positive wave, because we have had these two biggish ones here that were very much justifying that move here from the 2nd of November around that 7.8 cents mark to where we have been recently, which was closing around 3.2. It's actually quite a big drop, guys. Very much 50% or more, 60-ish percent. As we had a bit of an influx, obviously some people have finally gone, right, it's low, I'm buying in, and then the momentum kicks in, but now it's kind of like it was maybe falsified. So that's why we've got the tail off, and now we've got the switch over. More importantly, the switch over on the MACD. But what's partially encouraging is it's not a significant like drop down like that. It's more of a gradual thing that you would normally anticipate in quite a healthy project, to be honest, that is still in a correctional position. So for me, that's a great interest. I just moved my orange one around. But if you look at these other lines here, so for those that know, we've got my 14-day, 28-day, and 90-day here, RSI, Relative Strength Index. So this is very important for me when I'm short-term trading as well as long-term and seeing where we are. So it's all great looking at charts, but I want some definitive information in the background to look at as well. So that's why on the 14-day, I'm pretty happy right now to assess that 29 is pretty low on a 14-day in a 2-week period, right? So that's why I've been buying at this area right now over the last few days, knowing that the risk of it coming down further is limited. I'm not saying it won't come down, but I'm saying it's damage limitation, okay? So that is reflective as well on the 28-day. For me personally, I always look at that kind of 40 mark on an RSI, but also you've got to look at it in the various channels that we are doing now. 14, 28, 90 is the ones that I'm doing. Many use other ones, but for me, they're quite reflective charts or indicators to be looking at, sorry. So that has now dragged into a 37 on a 20-day. So again, confirming to my mind that that's a good position for me to be buying in. I'm not going to go all in. I'm not saying, right, I've just been paid or something, I'm going to chuck it all in. It means that I've just got my idea that as it comes down, or being conservative about its movements, that is what I'm doing. So I'm happy to be buying right now, but with the anticipation, as I said, that it may drop back down to that 2 cent mark just in case we do break this barrier that we are currently sitting at, which if you look at the indicators, specifically on the MACD, they don't lie. You're seeing a momentum of a bearish pull down, okay? So I said, it's not mean that it's the end of the project or anything like this. It's just, this is the market. This is the market we're in, okay? This is what it's about. Other thing to consider as well is the 90-day. The 90-day is more interesting to me at the moment because significantly, most charts usually see about 2 to 3 months turnaround aspect. What I mean by that is you have the big kind of wave ups and then you have the wave down. So if we just quickly pull this back down, you'll see that we have this lovely pattern upwards, and hey presto, around the beginning of November, we're literally talking about 3 months, right? So November, December into January. So we're in that 2 to 3 month period, right? And it's kind of ending. I don't know when the end is, and I hope it's soon, because I would like to see Veracity push itself back up, and I'm sure that will happen as the end of this wave, maybe in the next week or so occurs. But that 90 days is really interesting to me because it's at 46. It's low end for sure. It's low end for sure. Could it come down a bit more? Absolutely, because the momentum of the 14 and 28 days have done so as well. And you, like I said, with the MACD now switching back into a bear mode, and we're seeing the pattern come in. I don't think this is going to be huge unless there's some leverage failures and stuff like that. But I hope there's a swing around. And that's why we're talking about the specific support line as we are right now. But you can also anticipate a potential low drop based on what you see in front of you on charts. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing it. So hopefully that makes it a bit clearer. I didn't want to just go, I'm doing 2 cent because the things can come down there for no reason. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing it based on chart movements, and I'm doing it based on the indicators behind that. So if that 90-day does come down to around that 42 to 40 mark, that's where I think it will be sitting around that sort of 2 cent mark. So we'll see how it plays out. But the things I'm looking at are looking that it's going that way. Of course, we always want to do videos of positivity and say like, oh, it's going to go to the moon. It's going to do it, but it doesn't do that. That's not what this channel is about. I want to show you my reflective positions, what I'm doing on a daily basis or a regular basis, just to keep it realistic basically. So that is what I'm doing with Veracity. So like I said, I'm putting a buy area just above that 2 cent mark, and I have been buying ultimately on this drop down from this 4 cent or 4.5 cent mark in positions. Particularly I was getting a load at 3.2 cents. I've been getting a bit at 2.6 cents. I don't always go for the mid-range, as you know from many of my videos. I always try and think of like a trader. That is too like linear. It's too psychologically it's a rounded number. So as a trader, they're probably going to be doing it slightly above and lower in the spectrum of their big moves. So we've had a pull down today. What did that come down? A low of, I believe, 0.0225. So yeah, it's pulling itself back today, but as you can see, we're hitting this level. This is what I'm really interested to see. Are we going to get a bounce down again and like maybe a wave pattern to confirm that this is the area, or are we going to gradually come back down here, bounce off? If we come down lower than that, I'll be quite surprised, but I'm not going to say it's not possible, because there are significant areas along this way where you could argue the touch points in time, especially in a year's movement, we've had a lot of like price discovery elements. Okay, so yes, we've had drop downs, yes, we've had pull ups, but there's not a mass amount of touch points. So that's my next area. I can only conclude lower areas as soon as we get to these possible areas. So that's what I'm doing. But hopefully that's a bit of an insight for you guys as to what I'm planning. Obviously, this is not financial advice. I can't tell you what you can or shouldn't do or should do. That is what I'm doing, and that's what's been working for the last sort of 2 years really. So this is where we are with it. Doesn't mean Veracity is a terrible project. I'm here for the long run for sure. I still think these are just beautiful opportunities to buy an incredible project and get involved with it so early. You look at the likes of Theta and stuff like that. Obviously they've been quite old now in the grand scheme of things. This could be something like that in the future. Could you imagine buying them at like 2 cents and they're going crazy in a few years' time? So there's good opportunities, I'm sure, still to come in 2022. Absolutely. But for me, of course, I've got a long term in my head as well as short term. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, guys. We'll leave it there. Let us know in the comments below what you're doing about Veracity in your portfolio right now. Have you been selling it? Have you been buying more? Are you feeling confident still about the project? Are you looking forward to the ad stack information coming, and hopefully the roadmap? That is the beautiful thing I'm waiting for. I can't wait to see that. And then I think that's going to give people a lot of boosting power in their minds for sure. So guys, let us know what you're doing. But until the next video, thanks for watching, and we will indeed see you in the next one. Take care and bye-bye.